Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Simply Podcast Network's YouTube channel. And specifically, you're listening to the Simply Screen Reviews playlist. Today, I have another bonus clip from Season 2, Episode 5 of Simply Screen Reviews, where I reviewed Across the Spiderverse, the new movie that I think everybody is talking about right now. And if you haven't already seen it, highly recommend that you go see it. To me, it is one of the greatest films of all time. I think it is my favorite Spider-Man movie, so if you haven't seen it, do go watch it. Also, if you haven't seen it, heavy spoilers ahead, so go watch it before you listen to the rest of this clip. Otherwise, if you have seen it, I'm going to be talking a little bit. It's just a brief bonus clip, something I didn't get to talk about in the episode due to time constraints. And like I said, I've been saying I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But I think that Across the Spiderverse did what Marvel and the MCU has not been able to do thus far in multiple films, be that in Avengers Endgame, in Spider-Man No Way Home, in Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness, even in WandaVision to some extent, is that they, Across the Spider-Verse, explained the multiverse better than these films or series have ever done. They, first of all, one of the important things to me was that they reestablished that the MCU is not Earth 616. The MCU is Earth 1999. 616 is a universe reserved exclusively for the main comic book timeline, for the main Marvel Comics timeline. So I'm very glad that they established that the MCU is not Earth 616. Now, there is the possibility that for whatever reason they think, it's relative, maybe in MCU, those characters believe they're Earth 616. But in the general, overall, bigger picture, the MCU is not Earth 616, and it's almost ironic and so just great that Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is what was able to reestablish that the MCU is not Earth 616, and also that they were just able to really explain the multiverse better than has been explained thus far in a lot of different films and series that Marvel have tried to explain it in. I think there hasn't been, I would say, any major plot holes or inconsistencies or anything, but I think that there have been a lot of questions regarding how the multiverse works after people see, for example, like Spider-Man No Way Home or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I'm really glad that this film was able to kind of clear that up. And one of the things I really love is the incorporation of canon events. Now, of course, this is specific for the Spider-Verse, which is not necessarily applicable to every multiverse, but it is applicable to the Spider-Verse, and that is that there are canon events, and these canon events are things that happen in every multiverse. And I kind of said this in the podcast episode, but I'll use my little pun again. It is the invisible web that connects all of these characters, and I think that's really cool that they've been able to establish that that's how the multiverse works. At least the Spider-Verse works in that way. There are canon events. That's what makes Peter Parker, or any iteration, Miles Morales or Penny Parker or Gwen Stacy or whatever, but that's what makes them Spider-Man or Ghost Spider or whatever the case, but that's what makes them that kind of character. And in the end, they're all Spider-Man. They just go by different aliases. Even the girls, they're still Spider-Man. It's just in their universe, they're Spider-Girl or Spider-Woman or Ghost Spider or whatever. But I really love the way that they explain the canon events. Also, another thing that I love is that, for example, in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, for the most part, every Doctor Strange and even the universes were the same. They were not too distinct. And yes, you want something that connects them, which in this case of Across the Spider-Verse, they have the canon events, and that's what connects them. But also you want to see different characters. You want to not just see the same character over and over and over in a slightly different situation. You want to see truly different characters. And I think that's one of the great things that this film did, and also just the diversity of female spider people and male spider people and disabled and Black and Latino and Afro-Latino and Indian, South Asian, I think that's what's really cool about the film. So I just didn't really get to go into great details in the episode about this, but I really think that this has been the best explanation of the multiverse up until this point. And I think they kind of maybe resolved an issue for the MCU and sort of really laid out the multiverse in a way that hasn't been done before, which I think is really cool. And the irony is that Sony did it, like I said. And another thing I wanted to say that I didn't really say in the episode is that there was a point when I, as a fan of Spider-Man, and this was really like at the beginning of Tom Holland coming into the MCU, and when there was issues with that and his contract, where there was a disagreement between Marvel and Sony almost didn't give Marvel the chance to do any more MCU movies after Spider-Man Far From Home. I was kind of bothered. I probably said at some point, like, I wish Sony didn't have the rights to Spider-Man. I wish Marvel had not sold those rights. I wish they belonged solely to Marvel and Marvel Studios and Disney. However, I want to say very genuinely that I deeply regret that, and I am so glad that Sony has the rights to Spider-Man. And this, like I said, is perhaps my favorite Spider-Man movie ever, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, and I see the potential for more team-ups with Marvel. We saw at the end of No Way Home, we saw Eddie Brock and that Venom in that end credit scene. So I love the potential for crossovers. I'm almost certain we're getting a live action Miles Morales in the MCU, and we know there's a live action Prowler out there. So I'm really excited to see where the story continues to go, and I'm so glad that Sony has these rights to Marvel. I think nobody could beat their animation. I think the animation is truly next level, and visually it is the most stunning movie to look at, and there's just so much to see, but it's just this most beautiful visuals, and the way they are able to seamlessly blend animation styles is truly phenomenal in my opinion. And I said that in the episode, and I'm just reiterating that in this bonus clip. But I think I would be very disappointed if Sony did not have the rights to Spider-Man at this point, and I'm very glad that they are collaborating with Marvel. So with that being said, that's the end of this bonus clip. There should be one more bonus clip for this episode. It's going to be a little bit more interactive. Probably you'll see that, or hear that, tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. New episodes of Simply Screen Reviews Friday and Saturday. I'll be reviewing one of my favorite movies of all time on Friday and one of my favorite series of all time on Saturday. So do stay tuned for that. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and give this video a like, and stay tuned for more bonus clips. Anchor.fm/Simply Screen Reviews is where you're going to find the new episodes Friday and Saturday. And until then, thanks for listening.